Good afternoon. Welcome to the Tonya Esquibel Real Estate Show, here every Saturday from noon to 1 with my co-host, Kim Hollingshead, Hollingshead & Associate, real estate attorney. As always, you know, I'm going to say I'm excited about our show because I love having our guests on because they are so educated in various arenas when it comes to listening to the consumer first. Because on the loan side, usually I'm the middle person. Title side, you're handing out the keys, you're doing the closing and celebrating. So Brooke Jones is going to be joining us with Regent Homes, and David McGowan. I've known him for years. You know David McGowan as well. And just the thought process of what he puts into not only building a community, but the way he trains his leadership team, the way he trains his on-site agents. It is always with a heart of passion for the consumer and making them feel a part of every single step of the process.
Really?
And I'm excited to hear what Brooke's going to share with that, because I see it on like the lending side, outside looking in.
Yeah.
But she's going to go dive into a little bit more details. I feel confident about that. But anyway, if you're tuning in for the first time, Tonya Esquibel Real Estate Show, the original real estate show right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. You can give us a call, 615-300-0794, 300-0794. We have a heart to teach people about real estate. It's one of the biggest investments that you will make, but also is one of the biggest wealth builders that you can do, not only for yourselves, but also for your children and your grandchildren.
Yes.
And excited to have Brooke on and just talk about new construction. So Kim, you work with a lot of developers, builders. Let's kind of talk a little bit about why new construction versus resale.
Right? And so resale, when there's a shortage like we're seeing now, where there's just not as many listings going up for existing homes, isn't new construction that really fills the gap, right? So we're building new product and in all areas of the city to accommodate this influx of, people moving to Nashville, because Nashville's a great city and everybody wants to live here.
Yeah.
It's such a great place. So, but it is a very lengthy process and it's a risky process. And that's the kind of the part of development that we don't talk enough about, which is the risk involved, because you don't know what the market's going to look like in a year from now. How are you going to know what it looks like in 3 years from now or 5 years from now? And I think Brooke's going to come on and talk about Carruthers
Farms.
Carruthers Farms, which is going to be such a great neighborhood when it's all said and done. That will take David years to build, right?
Yes.
So how is he going to, just predicting what the market's going to do in 10 years or 15 years when the project's all said and done? It's just so difficult to predict. So we just do the best that we can with the information that we have on hand.
I think what I'm excited about with Brooke is, and just knowing David McGowan for so many years, like when he goes into a development, because he's a developer, builds it, he thinks about all demographics. He's going to start with affordability. A lot of developers right now don't keep that in mind. He's going to think about the move-up buyer. He's going to think about maybe the luxury buyer. But on top of that, when he's building his community, also lifestyle.
Yes.
Bringing in the commercial, live, work, play. Some developers will buy a big tract of land and they want to put tons of density on it. He will actually leave in this community that we're going to be talking about with Brooke. Will leave a lot open just because he wants open space. He wants it to feel like a community feels. So excited to have Brooke on. She's going to share a lot more details about it. But one of the first things that comes to mind with new construction, if you're out there listening, is getting to feel confident about being part of the building process.
How fun is that?
That is so fun. And going to the design center, picking out what you need to pick. Another thing that comes to mind as being a homeowner for many years is, okay, I have a warranty if this goes out.
That's
I have
right.
a builder's warranty. So that is basically the positive that I feel like is with new construction. And I think that The excitement, the journey is good. The downside of new construction at times, especially in this market, is the waiting.
Yes.
The waiting. Because
Yeah.
there's delays either due to supply chain, there's delays due to just codes, due to getting permitting, due to NES, due to utilities and things like that are happening. So that is what I've seen more predominant in the last year with new construction is just the consumer. I tell them when you're going to lock in an interest rate, make sure you've confirmed when your close date is, and then add another 30 days to it. So that would be the only
That's
negative.
great advice.
Yeah, that would just be the only negative, I would say, purchasing new construction, but that's a minor thing. If you have the right expectation, you plan for it, you lock in your rate accordingly so you don't get into extension costs, that's wonderful. And then you've got the warranty, you've got the benefits, it's new, it's fresh. You get to walk it while it's being built, like you feel like you're part of the process.
Yeah. And modern and fresh styling, right? Which is like always key.
It is.
We love that.
So you're listening to the Tonya Esquibel Real Estate Show. We're going to take a break. Coming up next is going to be Brooke Jones with Regent Homes, and she represents Carruthers Farms. And you're going to learn all about Regent Homes during this show. So like I said, he's been a personal friend, known him for years. He's a hard person to become a friend with. You know why?
Why?
Yes, because he is so busy building communities for people. And the very first time I met him, I asked him for his vote for, because, I've been involved in the home builders forever. And he goes, well, what have you done to earn my vote?
Oh my gracious.
And that was the best question he ever asked me. He's just an amazing, intelligent guy. And now I can just pick up the phone and I can call him and say, all right, I need a coaching session. Can I get a business coaching session? So
that's so nice.
But you feel that, and I think you're going to see that when we bring Brooke on the show. You're going to just see from her standpoint of working under his leadership. And Dorinda is amazing too, which is their sales manager, just their passion and it's not just a sale. It's not just another home. They want to make everyone feel like they're a process, that they're part of that process, and build the excitement along the way. So I can't wait to bring Brooke on. She's coming up next. So stay tuned. You're listening to Tonya Esquibel Real Estate Show right here on 99.7. Welcome back to the Tonya Esquibel Real Estate Show. I'm Tonya Esquibel here every Saturday from noon to 1 with my co-host, Kim Hollingshead, Hollingshead and Associates.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you so much for always volunteering your heart and your time to educate our listeners every single Saturday from noon to 1. But also, 24/7 around the clock, helping our clients get into homes, handing in those keys.
We love it.
Yes. So yes, thank you for everything that you do for our community, for sure. I'm excited because we are bringing on a wonderful guest today. I've known her for a long time, and Brooke Jones, and she is with Regent Homes, and she is one of the most innovative, creative, high energy on-site agent that I've ever seen. Like just the ideas that she comes up with. And so, I've been doing loans for how many years? We'll say 5, but really 28. But yes, for over 28 years. And so realtors and builders are obviously our number one referral source. And because they always want to go buy the house first before they get the money. It's always confused me. I've been like, why don't they want the money first before? But they don't. They just want to have the fun aspect of the house. So she was so cute because we started working to do business together. Even known her for years. We've not done tons of business together, but we started to work with a few clients. And she would actually send me a picture of her clients in the house. And it was so exciting because it just shows a personal touch. So then when I called the client, from my mindset, from a lending standpoint, I felt like I knew them because I had an image, a physical image. So she's always coming up with fun ideas. So thank you, Brooke, for coming in. Yes. And making the clients feel excited and capturing that moment for them.
That's great.
Thank you, ladies, for having me.
You're very welcome.
And we've talked about it. Every client that walks in the door is different. I'm sure some people wouldn't appreciate me snapping a picture of them. But, I love, and that's what I wanted to talk about today, first-time buyers. The excited, the full of hope and all the good energy, and just like the magic of home shopping with a first-time buyer. I don't think it's in any other part Like I have girlfriends that sell much more expensive homes than what I'm selling in Carruthers. And they miss that that sweet, precious, like that
gratitude.
excitement. That excitement. And I even wrote a contract this week with some, I mean, they've bought 30 homes at this point. And she even like held her husband and said, remember our first home? Because they were buying a second home from me, just a little vacation home. And she like grabbed his arm and said, remember our first home? It was $58,000. This kind of reminds me of that time. But it's like, I get to be there for those moments.
Yeah,
like,
that's really
I
precious.
love it. And they're all different. And that cute couple, if they're really excited and I can like see the magic, I'll snap their picture. Some people are scared to death and they don't want their picture taken.
Really?
It would be a violation.
They totally loved it because you could just see the energy in their smiles. They were just so happy.
Really?
Standing on the balcony.
Yeah, I try to make them have fun. I didn't grow up with a lot of money at all. And I can't stand the thought of people being treated like they might not have a chance of buying something just because it's their first. So I'm pretty big on, even if I think maybe they won't be able to right in that very moment purchase a home, I'm going to spend 2 hours with them. They will get my same tour that everybody else gets, just so they leave feeling like there's something to save for, get with you. And we had someone like this a couple weeks ago. I met with her Sunday again, just to kind of say, hey, now's not the right time, but get with Tonya and work on a plan.
Yeah.
Yes.
Please
There's
get a
nothing
plan in
wrong with
place.
dreaming about the future, having a dream, having a goal set, and visualizing that. Going and visiting a home before you're able to buy a house, visiting one of your home sites or just looking on Real Tracks or something. That is a great exercise. I love that you do that with people.
Well, we all should. Years ago, when I was in college, I read a book about finding success and kind of opening your world up to let success in. And the woman said, even if you can't afford the beautiful dress, go to the designer store and try on the gorgeous designer dress. Try it on. See yourself in the mirror wearing the dress.
Yes.
Go sit in the sports car. Maybe they'll let you drive it around, but go do those things.
Right.
And just that act will kind of
solidify that. That's what's so powerful about working with first-time home buyers, I think, for me, is because, and I don't know, maybe you guys will agree too, is that they're stepping into a new version of themselves. They were a renter. They did not have that investment set up. They didn't have that nest egg. And then through the loan approval process, they kind of moved into this new identity and this new version of themselves that is a homeowner and does have that nest egg, and that future is brighter and set up in a different way. And I think that's why it is that moment is seared in everyone's memory for the rest of their lives, because that's when they really became a different version of themselves.
You're exactly right.
Yeah.
It's such a fun moment. And I, no matter what, when I was a flight attendant, I used to, because that can be a very annoying job. People are not at their best when they're flying all the time.
Anxieties are high.
Yeah. People aren't always on their best on the airplane.
Wait until you have me and my Doberman and my husband.
I looked at you and I was like, Prince is an angel, though.
And Danny's like, I don't even know this lady. Like, he won't even walk with me in the airport, much less.
Yeah.
But he does skip the line to sit in the front seat with me. But yes, I totally get what you're saying.
Yeah,
100%.
they're not at their best.
We're
but
not.
To make it through a day of flying, and it's my job to make them feel important and like I'm caring for them. I would just imagine that everybody was my granny, because I loved my granny more than anybody in the world, and she could be a little spitfire, a little handful. So I would just be like, that's how I would get through people. And I try to see my first time buyers as someone in my family that I love. That, yeah, they're probably annoying me a little bit, but you know, I think it's that finding grace. And sometimes you just have to imagine, who are they like in my family that I love more than anything, that that'll help me kind of take care of them. But it's easy with Regent. If any new home sales girl has worked anywhere else, they would quickly realize that Regent is the best builder for new home buyers, for first time buyers.
Really? Why is that?
David, and even when it was super, you know, you just would list it and get a call from California and sell a home over the phone, he still insisted that everyone get to make their own selections.
That's awesome.
He thought it was important that everyone feel like they got to personalize their home, and that they got their 3-hour design center appointment with our designers. And we were like, David, it doesn't matter what we put in it, it's gonna sell. Like, we just need to keep them going. He still wanted, nope, we'll wait.
That appointment. You know. Did he ever explain to you the reasoning behind that and why that's so important to him?
He just told me, one day we were riding around my neighborhood, Carruthers, in his truck, and he said, buyers should be able to make it their own. They need to feel like, even if it's their first home, even if it's the, you know, most affordable thing we have, I want them to experience making their home theirs. Most everybody selling in that price point, every other builder is going to make it a package or just go ahead and put something in it. So that's a very high-end touch that you're getting at the first-time home buyer level. I feel like
that's an important value to him.
Yeah,
that everybody have that. It's a little touch of magic.
It is,
isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And you can tell the difference. I mean, when you walk in some of these, I mean, if a builder offers 5 packages and they have 200 homes, well, you do the math. Like, quite a few of your neighbors have your same package. And he just wants people to go and pick out their own things.
Just every little bit of it that he can.
Yeah, now the further we get along in the build cycle, the more we have to choose to keep the build going. We're not going to hold it up in the build cycle so that someone can pick cabinets. But we wait quite a while before we just go ahead and pick it and move on. So that's a huge one. The other one is our contract. Almost every other builder, and we joke because I've worked for a lot of builders.
She's like, I know. I know what I'm talking about.
I've worked for a lot of them, and I know what it is. But they want their contract to be foolproof.
Yeah, they do.
So you enter in the information in the CRM and press like print contract.
Yes.
And it prints out just exactly the way they want it. And all the company attorneys can agree that that is a solid contract. Not at Regent. We write them.
You write them?
You still write them up.
Honey, I can put anything in that contract. That doesn't mean Dorinda is going to accept it.
Yeah, right.
But I can write anything in there.
But it still gives the client the feel that they have an option to make offers instead of it just being generic.
Or if it's something like the one I wrote this week with people that you're helping, they really want to go to the design center before they commit. It is important to them to know what's in the design center. So I was able to put like contingent on design center visit.
Yeah.
Nobody, that is unheard of.
Yeah. That they're able to include a contingency like that. Like, that's pretty great.
It's unheard of. So I've written contingencies on like finding a cosigner. Yeah, it's a pretty big contingency.
Yeah, for a builder.
It is. All right, if you're just now tuning in, we got to take a break. But in studio with us is Brooke Jones with Regent Homes and sharing her experience about Regent and how they separate themselves apart from the other builders that are here. Kim Hollingshead, my co-host, in with me. And when we come back, we'll continue to learn more about Regent Homes and Brooke and how she just I mean, I can just imagine listeners right now hearing your excitement, are probably going to want to go look at your communities this weekend to learn more about how to make that part of their home. Such a great philosophy, and David McGowan's a wonderful guy. So stay tuned. You're listening to Tonya Esquibel Real Estate Show right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Tonya Esquibel Real Estate Show. Tonya Esquibel here, the original real estate show right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Kim Hollingshead and Associates with me, real estate attorney, co-host, and we also have Brooke Jones with Regent Homes. And we're learning so much about, I've known David McGowan probably maybe about 22 years, but it's always so refreshing to hear how he sticks to some very good basics about making people feel a part of the process that other builders maybe in production have left behind. But also just his mindset and the way he's created. He's been on the cutting edge of creating some very unique communities in Middle Tennessee, Live, Work, and Play. I think one of the first ones in Nolensville that he did. And now he's continuing to develop and build. And your community is Carruthers Farms.
Yes.
So would love to hear more about your community, your passion for first-time home buyers, and just educate our listeners to encourage them. A lot of times people right now are saying, well, interest rates have risen. Do I want to buy a home right now? Should I wait? And on the lending side of it, we always get the question of, well, rates are going to come back down to those threes, right? And then I can just refi. So I think it's just educating that rates are still really good right now. A great time to buy. I think over the last 20 years, the average has been 7.75%. So here we are in the upper fives, mid sixes, which is still great. So I would love to hear more about what you see and some of the things that are concerns for your first-time home buyers coming into your market, and just learning a lot about your community.
Well, Carruthers is a great community, and I think people, if they lived in a situation where they're renting and you come to a place where, because I feel like society, I feel like there's enough out there that has taught first-time buyers that renting is, that you're throwing money. You're just, and sometimes that's your only option. But I have people come to me and they say, I'm tired of wasting my money.
Yes.
So I don't tell them that. I try to keep things on the up and up and happy, but they already know that, and they tell me that. So something's happening out there. People are reading and educating themselves to where when I see them, they're they're pretty motivated. They don't have the same questions that I've had at some other times in my careers where people really didn't know the buying process. Yeah, I've worked in different. This is just different. I feel like the buyer is educated. They're doing their homework. Maybe resources are more readily available to them. But when you pull into my community, it looks like a little village that you stumbled upon.
Now, where is this?
Right off of Battle Road, very close to I-24, near Cane Ridge Park.
Yes. Oh, yeah, that's a great area.
David bought 600 acres. He's only developing, so he will leave 200 of it raw. He'll develop 400 of it.
Good.
And it's 5 different series of products. I have condos in the low 300s, mid 300s. Then we have 2-story townhomes, 3-story townhomes, cottage single-family homes, and estate single-family homes. So I have people buy a cottage, and for their children will buy a condo. Or I have children with families, they'll buy an estate home for the space, but buy their loved one that their full-time home maybe's in California, by them.
Really?
The
I love
condo.
that, like, multi-generational style living in one community is great.
Oh, they come in and visit me. They're so fun. There's a group on the main road in our new section is Goswell. There's the Goswell girls.
Oh my gosh, stop. I love it.
Yeah, they have fun. There are different Bible groups that have gotten together back there. There are husband groups that have gotten.
Wow.
And they will all come talk to me and like tell me all about it. It's a happy place to work.
Yeah, that's really, really great. And that's such a beautiful area as well. I love it's very hilly and the topography is gorgeous. It's very convenient to Nashville and like Smyrna, Murfreesboro, with it being right there on I-24. So, I mean,
and we're
all the
not allowed to
conveniences.
disturb the topography of the land. So we build into the land.
That's great.
So it keeps it changes what it really does. And I try to explain this to people. So many times when they're developing, they flatten it out. You know, they scrape all the trees, they burn them, row up those streets, and that allows a builder to come in and build the exact same home every 3 homes. And you drive down that straight street and look at that same home every 3rd home, and it's like, brr.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This forces our architects to draw site-specific plans per individual home site. So of the 435 homes I have on the ground being occupied, 100 of them are different plans.
That's
So there's
great.
not a lot of repeat. And we're going to 2,500. So I'm building 2,000 more homes in there. So there's plenty of time for someone making their first purchase and creating
Right.
that wealth just early on. There's plenty of time for them to get great equity.
So that's great because what I'm hearing is, well, you there's no cookie cutter floor plan, no cookie cutter home, all the selections that you get to choose on your own. So you're truly buying a house that's brand new, and it's kind of more custom than you were really going to get at that price point anywhere else. What is the starting price in the
My
neighborhood?
condos are $330. That's where they start.
Yeah. We love affordability.
Yes.
We need affordability right
We
now.
do need affordability.
How big is your condos?
They're 1,200 square feet. They're 2
Oh, that's
bedroom,
good.
2 bathroom.
Okay. Perfect.
Wide open plan. People love them.
And if you're renting in an apartment, you're usually doing a 1,200 square foot, 2 bed, 2 bath, and you can afford that same floor plan, that same square footage at $330, most likely, no matter where
What
you're paying rent. Yeah, you can probably, and you don't, a lot of times you get in with no down payment if you have the DPA as well. So yeah, you can definitely get in.
Yes, and I think it's very important. I always want to learn more. I wish people knew how they could. I know I've sent you so many people to talk to recently where I try to stay in my lane. I sell them.
That's right.
I go to training every Monday and learn about construction material. My lane is not the
Finance.
math material.
Tanya's a math nerd.
Nobody
Yeah.
wants me doing their math. I arm myself with people who like math.
Yes.
I'll talk about hardy board versus LP siding.
And I'm like, what is that?
That's right. We're both like,
Yes. So, but it's so important because I feel like I have something that checks off so many boxes. And I'm really proud of the condo product because David has taken every kind of, we're not a custom builder and we're not a higher, like a high-end builder. We do a great job. We build a very solid home, but I don't want to mislead anyone to thinking it's custom. That being said, in my condo product, he has included every upgrade you could possibly go to our designer and choose.
really?
So the little things like the entire cabinet layout in the kitchen is an upgraded cabinet layout. You're getting the trash can pull-out drawer. You're getting the pots and pans drawer, the cookie sheet drawer,
right,
the
the little bells
built-in
and
micro,
whistles.
like things that I feel like a lot of builders would maybe have the attitude of, oh, this is, first-time buyer product. They don't need the built-in microwave.
That goes to show his heart, David.
It
is
does.
Not, he's not in
cares.
it just for
He
the
does
money.
care.
He's in it because he actually cares about people and he wants to put out an amazing product.
Yes.
He wants a legacy.
Yes.
Something that's, yes.
I mean, we went through just to kind of show that I mean, his heart is into his building too, but just even with people in his industry, a year and a half ago, I just called him and like asked him for coaching a couple of times, and he would literally take his time and do several phone calls with me, and had nothing to do with like real estate or loans. It just had to do with more like personal stuff. But he's just so giving. He gives back to, not only can you see it in the product of Regent Homes that they build throughout the community and the passion of how he creates his neighborhoods, but also just in this industry, he's always willing to sit down. Because I'm like, how do you just sit down and talk to me for 45 minutes? Because he's building so many homes, has so many developments in Huntsville, but he takes the time.
Yeah,
and that's what's really great about him. So if you are just now tuning in, we're in studio with Brooke Jones with Regent Homes. Regent Homes is across Middle Tennessee. I don't think our audience goes from the on air to Huntsville, but if you're listening to our podcast or on our YouTube, he does build great communities in Huntsville in that area as well. So Regent Homes, check it out with Brooke. Brooke, if they want to get in touch with you, what's the best way? Carruthers Farms is your community.
Yes. So my name, my cell, my email, everything is on the Regent Homes website when you visit the Carruthers Farms section, when you pick that one. And it's the best one. So
Love the swagger.
Yes, I do.
You know, another good thing.
She's lit. Is that the right? Is that it?
Is that our
Yes,
word?
she's
Is that our word? She's lit.
She's got the Riz.
No, she's got Riz. It's Riz, right? Okay.
Is it Riz or the Riz? I thought it was the Riz. No. Oh gosh.
No, remember
Dylan,
Raz
like,
is what
make
I
it
came
stop.
up with. Riz.
Crazy.
She's got Riz.
Yeah.
We're learning these new words from our Gen Z buyers that are coming in.
Y'all are teaching me.
Yeah.
I don't know these words.
It's interesting how we learn these words. Yes. And then I forget them and I create them and I go, Raz, and they go, no, it's Riz. So anyway, to our listeners out there, not only will you learn about wonderful home builders that have a heart and build wonderful communities, a real estate attorney with a heart, and that's a hard one to say, a real estate attorney with a heart, because you want a real estate attorney to have a heart, but you also want them to be a bulldog, and I'm telling you, she's got both. And if you ever get in any situation, you definitely want her in your corner. And like we've just been talking to Brooke, Regent Homes is a wonderful home building company. And if you'd like to find out your purchasing power to see what you can get qualified for, I'm with Cross Country Mortgage. You can give us a call, 615-300-0794, 615-300-0794. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll close up our show. Thank you so much, Brooke, for coming in, sharing your heart and your passion, and keeping on-site exciting for those customers that walk in, because they're so scared. For them just to get in a car and go drive and think about buying a home for their first home, and you make them feel so wonderful and so comfortable. So I appreciate that.
That's the goal. Hey, real quick.
Okay.
We're the only builder with a 14-day financing contingency. And that's another David thing. He doesn't want someone to miss out on an opportunity to get a home they fall in love with. So he lets them go ahead and contract it, even without knowing that they're approved, that they can
Love
move
it.
forward.
Yeah.
And they get all their money back.
And they
That's
don't,
great.
and that
Within
helps them not
14
feel
days.
pressured too, and gives them the time to.
Gives them some breathing room. It helps take that fear away. And that's important on that first-time buyer.
Yeah, I agree.
combo.
That's
that's
awesome.
great.
Great
Thanks,
point.
ladies.
All right, thank you. Stay tuned. We'll be back with some more great information right here on the Tonya Esquibel Real Estate Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Welcome back to the Tonya Esquibel Real Estate Show. In studio with me is my co-host, Kim Hollingshead, Hollingshead & Associates. We just had such a fun guest, Brooke with Regent Homes, representing Carruthers Farms. We've been talking a lot about on the show today, new construction. But Kim, off the air, you brought up a really good point about people that maybe are a little shy about buying new construction in the beginning phase of a development. So explain to our listeners a little bit more.
So, well, we kind of think about buying a new car, and everybody knows, well, as soon as you drive off the lot, you're going to lose value in the brand new car that you just built. But a new construction home is not always like that. Usually you're going to buy the house and you're going to walk in with equity, because it's like you said, Tonya, it's a lengthy process. By the time you get into the house, they've already had other sales propping up the value of that home. And so your appraised value when you walk in is usually higher than what your purchase price is. And then also, as the subdivision's completed, we continue to see that the the neighborhood stabilizes and the pool's installed and right.
So it's been really interesting just knowing and being so involved in the Home Builders Association for so many years. But a lot of times I've been asked more, probably in the last 24 months than ever, from people relocating in. They're like, how reputable is this builder or this developer? Because they've had challenges in other geographical areas to where they've bought and things weren't finished, right? So I think it goes back to doing your research. Who's your builder? Look into it. Are they new? Are they reputable? Regent Homes, David McGowan, stand up, 100%.
Yes.
He's going to do what he says he's going to do. That development's going to prosper. He's been through the highs. He's been through the lows. So I think that's one thing. But where I see people creating the most wealth when it comes to new construction, they get in, if they're with that right builder, on the beginning phase. Because when phase 2 opens up, it's automatically got a price increase.
Right? Yeah.
Yes. And that's built-in equity that you just talked about, to where the car, maybe not so much, as we know. It's a depreciating asset versus a depreciating asset. So I think that sometimes clients are a little bit insecure about getting into the first phase of a community, but I have seen so many clients throughout my last 28 years that have actually built some really good wealth. It's just, it goes back to, you've got to make sure who is the builder, investigate the builder, and just know, like, if you have a builder that's been building in Middle Tennessee for 40 years, it's probably going to be a good opportunity. The downside of that is, yes, there's construction. You might hear workers at 7 a.m. in the morning, but if that phase moves to phase 2 and you didn't do anything except for live in your home, build, like you actually own it, so you get the tax benefit.
Yes.
You are paying down principal. You're not just paying your landlord his rent. You've got the noise factor that might come in.
Yes.
But for maybe increases that I have seen in the last 2 years have been higher than traditional.
Yeah.
But I've been seeing phases open up $30,000 to $50,000 more in the second phase.
Wow.
And all that consumer did was just buy the home and live
there.
it. Yes.
I mean, if someone said, hey, Kim, I'll pay you $50,000 to put up with some noise and a little inconvenience, I would take it all day long. Because let me tell you, I live in downtown Nashville, and I put up with noise and inconvenience all the time, and nobody's paying me for it.
No.
Right?
And that's what I think that consumers are a little scared about, that because of the construction. But all day long, I mean, how many hours would you have to work to make $50,000 in a year?
Extra. Yeah. Just sitting there and living in your house, your beautiful brand new home.
Yes.
And it is a good option for first-time home buyers as well, because a lot of times first-time home buyers don't have all that extra cash just sitting around to repair something if it gets broken, right? Or to make those home improvements. Cash is king. Like, keep that cash in your pocket. Yeah. Go buy new. It's kind of like, I would rather make that monthly payment every month knowing that I'm golden on this house for at least a few years.
So the number one thing you pay for number one, no one can argue with that. You got to pay for where you're going to live.
Yes.
I mean, number one, is it going to be to the landlord? Is it going to be to yourself?
Yeah.
And building appreciation. And so that's why I'm so passionate about home ownership, running for councilwoman for District 17. That's one of the things that I'm so passionate about too, is because nowhere in our school system does it teach you how to establish credit. High school level, college level, no one's doing it. They don't teach you how to establish credit. Number two, they don't really even teach you how to do a budget anymore. Like, kids don't even know how to do a check if you have to do a check. I mean, it's all automated accounting. And so one of the things that I heard is too, okay, I'm going to graduate college. How do I get a job? Okay, I understand, like, a lot of kids go to college and they graduate and they don't get a job. But more importantly, if they do get that job, how do we teach them to be wise with it? Do they know how to invest in the stock market? Do they even know about how to get real estate? Do they even know about how to establish credit? Or are they just, when they go to college freshman orientation, getting those boosts sign up for a credit card, and paying 25, 28%. So
yes,
it's
you're
such
right.
a passion for education for people about homeownership, just like we're talking about right now, going into a new community, you might feel a little bit intimidated, but that is where I've seen people build really great wealth through that. So I thought that
Yes.
was a great suggestion as we were taking a break to help people really think about.
Yeah, new construction
It's
is an
not
option for everybody.
It is.
Yeah.
And resale home, I love those too. Just a different topic for a different show. Another thing I want us to talk about is that is really predominant, and they're going to have to tune in to our next show because we're running out of time right now, is wire fraud. That has become more predominant. I know it started a couple years ago, but I know you have so much to share about that.
Yeah.
So you have a choice of who your title company is. Obviously, Kim Hollingshead is my choice in her company every single day. And just know, it does not have to be just written in the contract. You can say, I want Hollingshead and Associates to do my closing, because she's going to be the girl that's going to protect you, make sure your title's okay, and celebrate your closing. So anyway, thank you so much for being my co-host and joining me every Saturday, giving us your time, your input, and your knowledge. So be sure and tune in next week. Everyone have a blessed week, and tune in next week from noon to 1 right here on the Tonya Esquibel Real Estate Show on Super Talk 997 WTN.